In-depth analysis of national current affairs. Freshly pressed on Smooth
Mics are up,
98.1.
Studios Live. A very good morning to you, Lagos. Welcome to Smooth Breakfast. If you just joined us, this is Smooth Breakfast with Ayo.
I'm Valentine.
And this morning we are going into detailed analysis of our newspaper stories for Valentine's Day edition. And we have had Funmi Odude joining us this morning. Funmi, good morning.
Good morning, Val.
Good morning to you. And Ugo Dre, good morning.
Hi, morning.
Ugo Dre is by the same name on Twitter as Ugo Dre. And of course, we have Nnamdi joining us this morning for analysis on the stories. Nnamdi AK is his handle. Good morning, Nnamdi.
Hello, Lagos.
Good to have you in the studio. Lagos, join us in the conversation. Send us messages through WhatsApp.
WhatsApp number is 0809 444 0981. That's 0809 444 0981.
We will go into our first set of stories, but of course, Twitter, use that hashtag freshlypressed981. Send your tweets to at smooth981FM Lagos. Let's start with the first story.
And our first story here is from ThisDay newspaper. And opposition parties Agbakoba kick and CCT orders arrest of Onnoghen. Opposition political parties in the country have come together to say that to kick against the order of arrest of Onnoghen in the crisis, or shall we say the drama of the CJN yesterday. Apparently he had been asked to appear before the court and has been given 48 hours. So tomorrow it has been reconvened, and the Justice Walter Onnoghen has been told to be brought in by the police, or Inspector General of Police, and the Director General of the Department of State Services. Funmi.
Okay, so I understand all the sentiments about this. Agbakoba says there's a subversion of the rule of law and due process. The coalition of united political parties are saying it's something the presidency is using to intimidate the judiciary and all of that. And yes, I appreciate all the sentiments, but at the same time, should I sort of blame the judiciary for bringing this upon themselves? I'm not sure if anybody remembers or if this is reminiscent of any recent occurrence. So this is exactly what played out when Bukola Saraki was arraigned before the Code of Conduct Tribunal.
Yeah.
And if we remember as well, they had this array of lawyers that came and filed oppositions, they went to the court, all that. And the CCT chairman issued a bench warrant against his arrest.
Yeah. And
then his lawyers brought him the following time, and it was revoked and all of that. But he did appeal against that decision, saying his main argument was that the Code of Conduct Tribunal is supposed to be a disciplinary body for public officers, not a full court of law that should be able to apply the criminal procedures of issuing bench warrants and all of that. I went all the way to the Supreme Court, and guess who read the judgment? Walter Onnoghen. And in that big judgment, he said that the Code of Conduct Tribunal is not a mere disciplinary body for public officers, that it has quasi-criminal jurisdiction and can apply criminal procedures, and there was nothing wrong in it issuing bench warrants and orders against somebody before it. Now, my issue is this. My main issue as to how we got here is usually when things happen to people we perceive are deserving of it, we don't hassle too much on the due process until it gets to us, until it gets to affect us. And so nobody raised this kind of outcry at that time, because it would have looked like you were supporting corruption. I mean, how can we raise such an outcry when it's Saraki, as in the dog, and all of that? And so that is why, right now, in my personal opinion, what the chairman did yesterday has precedence in law set by the Supreme Court itself.
Yes.
As to why we allowed it, why we waited till this time to start kicking against all of that, is why I say I'm
Yes, which is what raised eyebrows across different people's
but
opinions and all that.
I mean, what they've said, Agbakoba's statements, the coalition of united political parties, is that they're undermining the judiciary.
I do agree that I'm actually in full support of the fact that due process was not followed in all this Onnoghen mess. But in respect of issuing a bench warrant yesterday, we have precedents that for it happening, it has happened before.
Despite the fact that there's a jurisdiction challenge.
That was exactly what happened during Bukola Saraki's era. I remember his lawyer then, Joseph Daudu SAN, saying that we have filed applications saying that the CCT has no jurisdiction. That was it. It is exactly what played out during Bukola Saraki's time. And if we're going to even argue upon this point of it's a sitting CJN, I remember on this show Jetta saying, I mean, we're issuing a bench warrant against the number 3 citizen of Nigeria. So whichever way you look at it, legal, moral, political, whichever way you look at it, it is a precedent that we have set, and I think it should be a lesson. If it happens, we always look like, if you speak against due process in respect of a big man that has a certain reputation, it looks like you're protecting that big man. But it's really about due process. If they get away doing it to him, they will get away doing it to you.
Anybody. And this will be called up in the future if anything like this happens again. People turn a blind eye.
But is anyone above the law?
No, nobody should be.
No one should be, but
like
traditionally.
You see lawyers who should know better getting too sentimental about issues, getting too emotional. This is about, there is a case against you, and Nigerians, to an extent, have a right to hear. They want to know if it's true or not. So we haven't even heard from you.
All right. Okay,
so it's really not about sentiment. Their sentiment is due process. The NJC is the one that should first hear petitions against you. They filed this charge before going to the NJC. Now, afterwards, they've sent the petition to the NJC. And all his lawyers are saying is wait for the NJC to determine it before you do this.
All right, thank you very much. Nnamdi, I have to continue.
Please, let's give me a minute.
10 seconds.
No, you don't have
10
seconds.
seconds.
There's a very interesting part of the story that we've sort of glossed over, where, in fact, it says the CCT chairman seemed to have his ruling pre-prepared. So he came to the court to hear arguments on whether or not to issue this bench warrant.
But sentiments.
After hearing arguments, he already had his ruling pre-prepared.
That is a sentiment.
What I'm saying.
I mean, is there proof?
The
Is there
report-
proof
the
to show?
report
So in the
says
report,
that
it says in a
CCT
surprise
chairman
move, he brought out a ruling and read it almost immediately.
Yeah.
Normally, you'd expect that he'd set a date, having
Yeah, well,
considered the
48
arguments.
hours
So it
is-
does. I think we must consider the aspect of this, that this is kind of shadowy.
All right, but 48 hours is tomorrow Friday, and so
Rushing
we'll
it
see
before the
before the
elections.
election. They did bring up in opposition about the fact that it's a date for elections, and he still said it would still be on Friday. So we're watching, and tomorrow we'll know. Now, Bengus said here on WhatsApp, don't forget, send your messages on WhatsApp. For how long will Onnoghen hide behind one finger? Since the inception of his trial, he has shopped for several court injunctions which haven't saved him. The best way to prove one's innocence on any allegation is by appearing in court for the trial. Onnoghen is fighting a lost battle. All right, we have to quickly move on to our next story here, and we're going on to Ogun State. Here we have Amosun presents 1.2 billion naira checks to ex-political appointees. Now, just 2 days ago, we spoke about pensioners in Lagos State, civil servants begging the Lagos State government for their entitlement, and here in Ogun State, Amosun is giving a farewell gift, paying off all his promises. Now,
I think the payment of pensions, payment of arrears, payment of dues to anybody who acts in a public service capacity or civil service capacity is laudable. However, before I go into my questions, the story does say that Governor Bukola Amosun presented 1.2 billion naira check symbolically to 793 former political office holders who served between 2007 and 2015 across all the local government areas of the state. And he did say that he had previously made some other payments, which bring the total amount paid from 1.2 billion to about 2.5 billion. Now my question though is that there's a point where he does say, let me state that this payment also takes care of political office holders even in the previous administration.
Right.
We will not discriminate in the recognition and appreciation of services rendered towards the development of our state. It's a short story, just a very short question. doesn't this strike you all as a little bit of how do I put it, an attempt to recover from the bad news of the rally, where there was a stoning of himself and that Abiodun,
The first
governorship candidate?
the first installment of payments from the report was made even before the incident happened a few days back in Ogun State. So it's something that he had started. It was only just finishing what he had started.
It does seem just a little bit dubious that you convene this symbolic presentation just a couple of days after this incident in order that we might all forget about the less
Not very easy to
salubrious.
forget. All right, Lagos, let's hear your thoughts on this one. Nnamdi asking a very big question right there. If you have the answer to that question, you can let us know on Twitter.
And AK sent in a message on WhatsApp, says again, Fumi's analysis on the bench warrant is spot on. The judiciary will be blamed when Buhari fully emerges as a full-blown tyrant, he says. His government has treated court orders with contempt, yet no backlash. And Kudu sent from Surulere says, why is the CJN taking this path it doesn't and the country no good? Why is it difficult for him to subject himself to the jurisdiction of the CCT? These actions of his are quite embarrassing and hitting the polity. He should just do the needful and stop running from one court to another, shopping for black market injunctions, he said.
All right. I move on very quickly now. Funmi, I'm coming back to you for this one. Another court case, and this one a bailout. Not bailout, a bail. Alleged 272 million naira contract scam. Ex-secretary to the government of the Federation, Babache Lawal, others secure 50 million naira bail.
Okay, so well, what we say, they've been charged to court, they've been granted bail, which is
24 hours.
Right.
Nearly 24 hours after.
Well, yeah, bail is your constitutional right. It's one of the constitutional rights of an alleged a defendant in a criminal charge. So, and it has conditions. So when they meet the conditions, they will be freed of pending the charge. I think the main story is following through on the criminal charge and getting a resolution one way or the other. That's the main thing. I'm hoping that because it took us a while to charge them, it means that we have an airtight case right now. So it will be speedy, to move fast, and we'll get the conviction we all want.
We'll refer to your statement hopefully very soon. Airtight case, just to mention, the bail conditions include surrendering their international passports, barring them from traveling out of the country without permission, and pending the fulfillment, then they can go home on bail.
All right, let's move on very quickly to the story from Guardian newspaper. Ugo, this story is for you. So the Vice President's Shibajo's helicopter crash is avoidable. That's according to a bureau. The Accident Investigation Bureau has come up with a report. It said they've linked the recent presidential helicopter crash in Kogi State when he went to just conduct his irregular activities, especially in the light of elections coming up in Kogi State. They said they've linked it to hazy weather conditions that could have been averted by safety and risk assessments. We got a report that the crew lost visual contact with the ground and elected to use instantaneous vertical speed indicators. Now, Ugo, one of my concerns is, and I'll phrase it in a question, do you worry that such negligence might reflect on lax measures to ensure compliance in the aviation sector, seeing that such checks, should be almost normal, like a regular activity on a daily basis?
Yeah, it's obvious from this story that the airline, excuse me, did not comply with its own safety requirement. And it's clear here. And according to them, Caverton should ensure that flight operations are carried out in accordance with the company's approved operations manual, vis-a-vis site survey, and that proper safety risk analysis was done before dispatching helicopter to an appropriate impact. So it was obvious that there were safety guidelines that Caverton did not comply with. So basically speaks to your question. And it's important to explain how this happened. So they were going to land on the stadium, and it was clear. And then as the helicopter was descending, and the brown haze showed up. That's probably dusty haze,
yes.
And they now lost visual visibility, so they really didn't know where they were landing and how they were going to land. And I think there are typical safety measures that you deploy when you're going to land in places like that, especially when it's on the helipad, and then basically crash landed. So so the accident investigation program has come up with this, and it's important that everybody reads this one, because if this had actually gone the other way around, I don't think only God knows what would happen in Nigeria. I mean, there would have been also some conspiracy theories.
Mhm.
So it's important that we learn from this and we try to avoid issues like this from happening again.
Yes.
But there was nothing here about penalties or fines or whatever. All good for them, but it's important that we take it seriously. And
But
that's the message.
not conclusive yet, but we'll watch and see what comes up of that.
Sorry, I know I keep coming up with these funny questions, but here's my
Nnamdi,
question.
we need a
Just one,
penalty and fine.
just one more question. This
Yes.
is going to take 10 seconds again. No one has told us why the number 2 man in the country, our vice president,
Mhm.
was riding in a rented chopper.
No, they did say that there
Yeah,
were no available presidential.
Okay, once again,
from
no one
presidential
has
fee.
told us.
Besides
why.
that, he's
There were
campaigning
no-
now, so he's not going to ride with the country's. Are you going to ride the taxpayers?
You
The
remain the
president-
vice president
So,
irrespective.
yeah, but he was
irrespective
campaign.
of what you're doing.
Let's keep it moving.
Alright, we have
We'll
reports
find out.
actually
But it's a
answering
valid
your
question.
We have reports answering your question, and most of it was that some were under maintenance. The president had one. There wasn't any available for him to use.
Doesn't that worry you?
It
That's
does.
a real question.
All right, okay, so moving away. Now, still on election matters, vote buying, aka voters inducement, EFCC promises to reward informants. Now, as part of the EFCC chairman, acting chairman, Mr. Ibrahim Magu has come out with statements talking about collaborative work to ensure that the election is seamless, smooth, and of course without any form of irregularities happening. And he's warned against vote buying and actually read out the Riot Act saying that anyone caught doing it would be prosecuted.
Yes, so
Funmi.
please don't collect money. Well, I don't know what to say. This is okay. So I'm more worried. Yes, let's talk about don't sell your vote. But I'm more worried with a news item that I'm expecting. If the EFCC was supposed to be speaking at all in today's newspapers, I would have been expecting something to do with our blacklist. I mean, we've just been blacklisted by the
European Union.
for money laundering and terrorism funds. And yes, elections are very important. The lack of stopping vote buying very important, but I'm expecting to hear very concrete statements with respect to that. It is
On the surface, statements being made, but the real issue is not being tackled.
the real issue is not being tackled.
Yeah.
EFCC has a whole lot more to do than dealing with people that are selling buying votes. I mean,
But would you
that's serious
consider that
issues.
a big? I mean, you've talked about the fact that obviously with on international scene we have bigger problems to deal with. But in Nigeria, would you say vote buying is one of the biggest problems when it comes to elections internally?
Well, I think we have for elections. What's coming more than anything is our violence. Elections tend to be extremely very violent, and that is what I think is our priority, much more than anything.
Well, they have released statements in the days leading to elections about the number of personnel, military personnel and police personnel that have been deployed to the different election polling units. And it's also important to know, just from yesterday, we talked about the finger voting, and just to clarify, because INEC put it on their Twitter page, that all your 10 fingers can be used because it was captured during your PVC registration.
Biometrics, yes.
My biometrics registration. So please, for those spreading the rumors that you can only use your index finger, INEC has changed things. That is false. You can use any one of your fingers. However, the index finger is encouraged.
All right, let's move on to our next story now. Talking about foreign investments decline. They said it persists, according to this report from Vanguard, Ugo Dre. Now, this report reflects the quarter-on-quarter and the year reports quarter-on-quarter decline in 2018. But take us through the details and how it really impacts on our economy.
Yeah, Val, this is one of the most tracked data if you're one of those who follow the economy regularly. Foreign investments data, or what the NBS calls capital importation, basically just breaks down, foreign flows that come into the country.
Yes.
And as usual, portfolio inflows have led the way, basically. But then the story here is that year on year, total foreign investment into Nigeria was $16 billion compared to I think it was $12 billion a year ago. So net government has at least the country has attracted about $4 billion. Now this would typically be a topical issue for any election, and that's because you'd expect government. One of the major things that you expect from your government is how they are able to attract foreign investments into the country. And because foreign investment is basically what helps develop economies like Nigeria and kind of grow.
Yeah.
So, and since Buhari's election in 2015, and of course coinciding with the drop in oil prices, foreign investments have basically dropped drastically. Foreign investors have basically without money. Also, most of last year as well, we also saw that the Western economies like in the US and in Europe, they also sort of tightened. So there were a lot more investment outflows that inflows into emerging markets like Nigeria. So countries like Nigeria, Brazil, South Africa, Turkey, they also witnessed some kind of outflow. So it's not necessarily because of anything peculiar about Nigeria, but foreign investors as well are a bit coy to invest in Nigeria because of the elections. People don't really know what is happening.
Yeah, uncertain.
And so towards the last quarter of last year, you could see that there was a reduction in the inflows and towards the third and fourth quarter. But from what we're seeing now, first quarter of this year, I think we're already seeing some inflows in the stock market is picking up again. So the first quarter of this year is probably going to be some inflows, and in the second quarter it's going to be a lot more inflows as election is over and people are like, okay, you know what, whoever won, we don't care, we're coming to invest in Nigeria.
But should we not care? Because I mean, if you can couch this in one sentence, I'd really be grateful. Because when you speak about foreign investment and money generally concerning Nigeria, you can't help but think about the debt profile. We heard about the Euro bond, and it seemed like something to celebrate. But I mean, there are conflicting sentiments surrounding Nigeria's debt profile, debt versus foreign investment. How does this make you feel as a business?
I mean, you'd always so foreign capital importation in Nigeria. You want to divide it into two broad categories: foreign portfolio investments and then foreign direct investments. So what we've been finding difficult to attract over the years is foreign direct investment, because that's the kind of money you actually want in the economy. And that one comes in and stays.
And
it
grows.
It grows with you. It doesn't usually just go out like that.
Yeah.
But we've sort of always attracted foreign portfolio investment. I think probably 80% of most of the inflows are about foreign portfolio investment, and that's when it goes into stocks, bonds. As Maurice they're talking about. So, but it's just the nature of the emerging markets. Foreign investors, before they put in a lot of money in your economy, there's going to be a lot of things that they want to see there. Currently, Nigeria is nowhere close to that.
All right, thank you. Well, not so encouraging, but
No.
Punch newspaper has a story. AAU suspends ASUU chair over alleged sexual harassment. So sexual harassment in federal university institutions, right, education institutions. Nnamdi, I'll take you take us through the story, seeing that the family of the female student that was involved in this reported or wrote a petition to the school, and the Senate body requested for a response from the lecturer in question from the University, Ambrosali University, Ekoma, but his response was unsatisfactory. The person in question is Dr. Monday Igbafen. But what are your thoughts on this?
Dr. Monday Igbafen was brought before the senior staff disciplinary committee to answer to allegations of sexual harassment. The nature of this conduct and the sexual harassment has not been clearly outlined in this story.
Yes.
For me, the first thing I thought was this is an example of Me Too coming home, which is in many ways a welcome development, because you would only, everyone of us knows people who have gone through the Nigerian university system, and we know that our vulnerable youth have oftentimes been subjected to the request for sexual favors in return for their academic progress, which has always been something that has troubled me, and I'm sure has troubled lots of families around the country.
Yes.
However, the other side to this coin is that Dr. Igbafen is saying that he's being blackmailed. So what he says is that he has dirt on the Vice Chancellor. The Vice Chancellor is trying to push him out through the back door in order that this dirt doesn't come to light. But he has promised to address a world press conference, at which point he will be telling us some of this information that is not within the public knowledge. However, I think just thinking about it, I believe he's an associate professor in the Department of Philosophy. It appears that if these allegations are true, his philosophies need no longer be spread to students or families at the university.
Very interesting angle to it, Nnamdi. Thank you very much. Damilola from Ikeja says the presidential air fleet had over a 7 billion naira proposed forage annually in 2017 and 2018 budget, yet we can't get a helicopter to fly the vice president. Okay, noted. Yinka here sent in a message. Says pilots lost visibility, hence the accident. Helicopters land even in worse conditions than that. It was reported that a police helicopter landed in that same location. So, any flying item works more with altitude. So, are they saying that the pilot does not know the altitude of the chopper at any time? I'm not a pilot, but I've had an opportunity to fly on a helicopter and even engage helicopter pilots in discourse to that story. That the pilot does not see the road or the dust is too much is not adding up for me, says Yinka. Let's move on to our next story very quickly. Nnamdi, this one still is for you from Premium Times. Elections, police bar personnel from carrying firearms at polling centers. There was a restriction of use of mobile phone within the polling booths and incident materials and all that. But please take us through the story.
So I think this is one of those stories where the good sides and bad sides, like many of them. The Inspector General Mohammed Adamu has said that none of the security personnel, I assume, who have been assigned to the polling centers will be allowed to carry firearms. Of course, they'll have other means of restraining violence or restraining riots, but the idea is not to, I believe, make voters feel intimidated into making one choice or the other. However, I don't believe that this is something that should be getting announcements.
It should, because if it were not the peculiarity of our nation, then it shouldn't, like you rightly said.
Okay, you know what? That's actually very fair. The truth about it is that in Nigeria, we frequently witness electoral violence and on the day,
and voter intimidation, like you
voter
mentioned.
intimidation, voter suppression, etc., etc., etc. So that's a fair one. But this announcement was being made to the European Union Election Observation Mission. And it did feel to me a little bit like they were trying to reassure them as opposed to reassuring Nigerians. So I guess that's where I have a little bit of misgivings. But then the story goes on to say that allowances for police personnel will be paid 3 days before they go on election duty. And that's definitely a very welcome development. There's a very interesting analogy that he makes when he says, so this is the force public relations officer Frank Mba,
Yes.
who said that this measure is being made to avoid instances where the policemen look out for help. And then he says, if you do not give a child food, definitely he will go out to look for food somewhere. I don't know what this says about our own police force's estimations of his officers, but nonetheless, it's a welcome development.
I quickly ask, Nnamdi is the one with the questions, but who else is worried about if I know I don't trust our police and weapons as much as the IG does not, but who else is worried that if our police don't have weapons, what happens to the political talks that will no doubt come with their weapons?
That's only at the polling
center.
So elsewhere, I assume they'll be armed.
Exactly. So very quickly, let's move on to our next story. Report names Mushin, Oshodi among top five stealing spots in Lagos. It's interesting that this is making the news, especially as it is reported on the Punch newspaper, because it's almost been ignored largely in a wider sense, saying that we experience this in Lagos, but when you speak about it, some people say, it's not that bad, blah blah blah, and all that. But Ugo, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so and please, it's not just Mushin and Oshodi. They actually say Mushin, Apapa, Oshodi, Agege, and Ibejuleki. For those who live in Ibeju. So those are the top 5 spots where they steal the most. And so areas like Surulere escape this list. Ikeja, Yanopaja, Yaba.
First person experience.
No problem. So if you want to live where they don't steal, very probably go to these areas. So anyway.
Yeah, so another part of the report I'd like you to just touch on is overstretching of the prisons, because this report was taken from from prison statistics.
Yeah.
So they also touched on the fact that the prisons are overstretched.
Yeah, we've been with this. This has been the story for a while now. 75% of the inmates, for example, are actually people awaiting trial, right? And they've probably been awaiting trial for years. So and this really has been a story about prison. So you have people, they just arrest people, throw them in prison, and don't even give them the chance to actually defend themselves. So this is something that we should avoid, and it's something that's been with us for a while. Another part of the area that of the story I want to quickly just touch on before I end is that it wasn't only stealing. They also said, apart from stealing, other major offenses, actually breach of peace, cultism, fighting, murder, and armed robbery. And I'm saying we need to break on this list.
It should be added. Well, thank you very much, Ugo Dre, and special thanks to you, Funmi, as well. Funmi Odude is her Twitter handle. Thank you for coming in. Ugo Dre, thank you. And Nnamdi, thank you for coming in. Nnamdi AK is his Twitter handle. Lagos next. In 15 minutes, we talk entertainment inside of the grapevine. Happy Valentine's Day.
I invest where money never sleeps.
I was like, don't hear it.
They'll